Just staying poised, staying confident in the moment, and just want to embrace this moment. You know, it's a blessing to be here, blessing to have this opportunity. So just fun to go out there and get the win like that.
I mean, you guys were down by as much as 19 points in this game, and were able to fight back by using your defense. What pride did y'all take on that end?
Just understanding that we were better than what we were showing. They had a lot of easy points, like we said in the first half. We dialed in, got aggressive, and I just feel like we wanted it more in the second half.
Got it done on both ends. Thank you so much, and good luck the rest of the way. Back to you guys.
All right, Autumn, great interview as usual. Hey, what a great game we had in a comeback from the Brooklyn Nets. Down by 18. They stuck with it. They played better defense. They hit outside shots. They came back to beat the New York Knicks in the first.
And your Knicks take
a lot of games we got here. Up next, the Chicago Bulls and the Detroit Pistons here in NBA 2K25 Summer League.
Designed to be worn untucked. Shop now at untuckit.com.
If we happen to say it on the air.
Think that's it.
Don't you think John Winthrop and I do a good job having very measured arguments about things we disagree on vehemently?
Yeah, you know, I wish our country was like the two of you. You both are an example of how we can move forward as a country.
We don't see things eye to eye very often.
Not a lot of things. Not just political things.
Right.
Just, you know, how to do a radio show.
That's exactly right.
But it's always very measured. Nobody ever raises their voice. Nobody walks away angry.
Now, part of that, I'm going to give credit to John. It's sort of his demeanor.
John is
his demeanor is very low key.
He's an old soul as well. Like John is, I don't think he's hit 40 yet.
Barely.
But he walks around like he's a 65-year-old man.
No, well, he takes vacation like he's a 12-year-old. He's just back from Disney for the 30th time.
It's also that. Like, it is crazy the amount of time that he goes
to Disney.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Although I'm overdue for a trip to the motherland, if you will, Disney. Let's start off by saying welcome to the K Show on 98.7 ESPN New York, as well as on the Yes Network. Peter and Don. Mike will be back on Friday.
Yay!
That's right. We'll start off with a quick game time brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey to get you all ready, Don. I know you're ready for some local soccer tonight. Red Bulls hosting Montreal at 7:30. NYCFC visiting Atlanta at 7:30. That's all we got. That's game time brought to you by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey, because when it's game time, it's Tully time. Tullamore Dew, the original triple distilled, triple blended, and triple cast matured Irish whiskey. Be sure to grab a Tullamore Dew or try the brand new Tullamore Dew Honey during tonight's action. Glasses up to enjoying Tullamore Dew responsibly. Well, Don, another episode of Hard Knocks and more conversation about the Giants.
I got to tell you, I understand where people are coming from when they say, what are they telling us that we didn't already know? But tell me that just seeing it all transpire isn't very, very interesting. So it's just the dynamic in the room. Because when I watch Joe Shane, Brian Dable, Brandon Brown, who's the assistant general manager, all the interaction with the scouts, I mean, it gives you a nice behind the scenes of how decisions are made in the NFL. And then what I find myself doing is, I wonder how it was under the previous regime with Gettleman, when the decisions were made about Eli sitting for Geno Smith and the different acquisitions they made to try to double down on Eli's career and John Mara's involvement there. Like, I'd love to be able to comparison shop, right? Like, Joe Shane, to me, say what you want. Maybe you could say, hey, Don, you're a Giant fan. That's why you think this. But I think anybody that follows me knows that I can be as critical of my teams as I can be complimentary. He looks like a guy that's absolutely in charge. And it's his say. He gathers information from his sycophants or his assistants or however you want to put it. And then John Mara walks in clearly upset about the losses, clearly upset that Saquon Barkley's an Eagle. At one point earlier in the show, he is saying, it's going to kill me if he goes to Philadelphia. And then he goes to Philadelphia, and you see John, wander out of the room aimlessly, like how disgusted he is. But Joe's laughing, like, don't worry, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. And I keep thinking, what if Gettleman was sitting in that desk and John Mara said, I don't want him to go into Philadelphia. I don't want him. He's by far our most popular player. Would Gettleman have caved and given Saquon what he wanted? Like,
and then, of course, in this case...
then you'd see that this is the way a general manager is supposed to be, that he is in charge. No question John Mara is the guy that signs the checks. He is the boss of Joe Shane. But when it comes to football, I feel like the Giants are finally moving in the right direction. They're working with their head instead of their heart. You may disagree with the decisions, but at least it's not coming from a place of silly fandom and emotion and heart, that it's coming from sheer business.
Well, I'll tell you
that's what I like about the show.
I hear you, and it is nice to see that. If you're a Giants fan, I agree with you. And the funny part is, and we'll take your calls on this, 1-800-919-3776. Joe Shane can chuckle if the moment, in the moment. But under that chuckle, there's nerves. Because you know the second that you make a major decision with a beloved player of a team and the owner is telling you, man, I'd really like to not make that decision. And you go, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. You know deep down, Don, if you get that wrong, it's a major problem.
Yeah, I get it. Like just any other decision.
But in particular, when the owner says, I love that guy.
If you bring Saquon back and you get it wrong, you're okay because you caved for what you... But he also realizes, hey, I got a job to do. And they got together, and if you watch the previous 2 episodes, you know, they didn't come to it a number willy-nilly. I mean, they're lining out. Here's what we need. There's a conversation earlier in the show where Shane is talking to Dable. All right, what would you say our number one need is? And they both come to the agreement that offensive line's the number one need. 2 big free agent offensive linemen are available. They want to trade for Burns. And they realize that if they do that, there's not going to be any money for Saquon Barkley. And if we give Saquon Barkley more than we want to give him, then maybe we only get one of the offensive linemen, or maybe we don't get the Burns deal done. And then you're kind of chasing your tail, as the Giants have been in the last few years, where Saquon's your best player, but you don't have the ability to build in the other areas to really, truly be a winner. I think that's what it really comes down to. They like Saquon. I think everybody that loves Saquon all agrees he's a singular talent. He's better than most running backs. But and Philadelphia could sign him because they've checked a lot of boxes, so they can give the extra year. They could take the cap hit in the 3rd year. They can offer a 27-year-old running back a 3-year contract because they're close. San Francisco can extend McCaffrey because they're close. The Giants need to rebuild an offensive line. They need an edge pass rusher. There's other things they still need, and they just couldn't afford to keep him. So if at the end of the day it doesn't work, the math still works to them. Now, listen, if Burns doesn't turn out to be a great player, if the offensive lineman or the offensive line doesn't get better, well, then obviously that was not money that was well spent. But like going in, Peter, you got to stick to your guns. It's a salary cap sport. It becomes more of a math equation than it is anything else.
You mentioned the Burns conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear this. Hard Knocks offseason with the New York Giants. It airs Tuesday on HBO and streaming on Max. Here's the Brian Burns trade negotiation, the Joe Shane conversation.
Daniel Thomas Morgan, what's up, buddy? Oh, my God. What are we doing, Dan? Why do we need to add on a 7th, Dan? Like, come on. You and I are going to be doing this a long time, hopefully, and, like, we got to have allies. Like, I don't want to throw in a 7th. Like, I need players, too, Dan. We're picking 6. You guys would be picking 1. Like, let's just do what we said on the last one. I mean, that works out. We met you in the middle with some of your demands. We good? All right, I'm texting this to you right now. Good doing business with you, buddy. We'll get whatever we need over to you. If you can send me his number at some point, that way I can reach out to him. All right, man. All right, it's done. Mitchell is worried. They tried to wear me down to a 7th round and a half a sack. Done. Good enough. There we go. All right, boys. Good job.
That is fun stuff to hear. That's very interesting. Don, does it sound a little more casual than you would expect it to be? All of it feels a little more casual than I think as fans we expect. It's more just dudes talking than you would think.
Yeah, but all the work is being done. Now they're just getting down to, they're crunching it down. And God, there's so many different people that are working for Joe. Joe's talking to somebody off camera that runs into his office, makes a call and say, okay, the deal's done. There's a lot of things going on there that make it just so fun and interesting to watch.
Look at you, Don. No one would have thought that you would have enjoyed this.
Well, you
usually say you're good.
Well, because when it's your team, and listen, I love football, but do I love who's getting cut on the Cleveland Browns?
No.
but I love watching football. But when it's your team, to be able to see the inner workings of a team, and let's face it, the one area, like we got to know Joe a little bit when we went to training camp, and we had a nice conversation with him off the air, if you remember. Like, I genuinely like him. He seems like he's a cool dude. But I'm just excited that I feel like that there's somebody in charge here. That's the ultimate take. We'll see what ends up happening with Saquon, with Burns, with the offensive lineman that they signed and all that. Because it's about wins and losses. That's another reason why I disagree with John Mara about, well, he's by far our most popular player. So what? This is the NFL. Like, with the Pete Alonso situation, the Mets might have to make a conscious decision. Well, we got to sell tickets. We got to have people interested in our team. You kind of need star power, I think, at the other sports when you're trying to fill the building. You're trying to get people to watch your network. You're trying to stay relevant in the sports landscape. You don't have to worry about staying relevant in the NFL. Just win. Like, the fans will be disappointed. There'll be a lot of kids with 26 jerseys upset that Saquon Barkley's gone. But, Peter, if they got this right and Singletary does a good job and the offensive line clicks and this team is competing for a playoff spot, sorry, Saquon.
I know. Well,
unfortunately, Ahmad Bradshaw won me a ring, and he just got cut. Brandon Jacobs was in Oakland. I mean, Justin Tuck, Osi Umenyiora finished elsewhere. This is football, man.
I know.
You don't get the goodbye.
It's messed up. Football's not that game.
No, because they're commodities. And in a lot of ways, it's pretty sad. But it starts at the combine when this great college player who played on national television and competes for a national championship and maybe a Heisman Trophy is with a T-shirt that says QB1, and he's running around, jumping and doing calisthenics at the pleasure of the general managers of the NFL. I mean, that's the way this league is. Some guys are so good they can say, I'm not going to the combine, I'm not going to my pro day. But everybody else, like really good All-American players, it's like a track meet to try to impress. Like, I want to be drafted high. How high can I jump?
It's so cool. The more you get into it, Don, the more uncomfortable
because
you get.
You see that they're folding chairs, right? They're just commodities because of the salary cap. So there's no gold watch. There's no give them an extra year. There's no let's make this work for the fan. Little Jimmy, whose dad and his grandfather have been season ticket holders for 50 years, and they love Saquon Barkley. We got to re-sign him. We can't lose Saquon. No, this is what you do.
Now, another interesting thing before we get to the phone lines that came out of the show last night is, Don, yet more indications that the Giants were interested in Jaden Daniels if available, and certainly were open to the idea of moving on at quarterback. No matter how that's painted now that this is Daniel Jones' team, Don, during the offseason, it was very clear here. There was, at best, mixed thoughts about what the role would be for Daniel Jones on this team.
Well, yeah, but shouldn't there be? Like, we had the conversation yesterday with Adam Schefter saying, like, do they really want this information out? Apparently they do, because they've got to look, even though Joe Shane mentioned he's got 3 years left on his contract, essentially he's got one. They have an out. So they have to plan for the possibility that A, Daniel Jones is ineffective, and B, he might get hurt again, and that they have to bring up a quarterback. Like, how could Daniel Jones be upset by that? He's essentially a free agent playing for his supper. He has not been able to stay upright, and he has not blown anybody away. Certainly deserving of the $40 million, as cheap as that may seem compared to what some quarterbacks are getting paid. Should the Giants put on a different face publicly for the feelings of Daniel Jones, or do they just have to move forward business-wise? We're going to do what's right for this team. And if Daniel's upset about it, well, prove us wrong, go ball out, stay healthy, help us get to the playoffs, and then we don't have to worry about it.
But they don't have to have it in the show if they didn't want to with your quarterback.
Oh, if they wanted to.
I know. But of all positions, is your quarterback the one you want to do that? I think it would be one thing if this was your wide receiver, your DN, but your quarterback?
It's a legitimate question. What's the negative of doing that?
Maybe because we haven't seen Jones in this kind of situation before. He's been a lot of things. He hasn't been challenged like, you may not be the guy, particularly. Not really ever. Even when they came up with his contract, you knew he was going to get signed. So what if you tap into a fragility that you didn't know your quarterback had?
Good.
Is that good?
No, then I know I'm going to find out. It's New York, baby. It's the big time. It's
But
the
he's
NFL.
he's already shown you he can generally handle what New York is. This isn't New York. We're opting to put out information to say we as a team don't have confidence in you. That's not the same as a lot of press talking about you. Actually, Daniel Jones has been really good at that.
And I think he's a good guy. You know I'm a fan of Daniel
But not
Jones.
just a good guy. He's been a strong guy so far.
No, I agree. And I don't think we both talked about last year that I don't think Brian Dable did him any favors keeping him in that Cowboy game in Week 1 when clearly there was no chance of winning and he was still out there in the rain.
Getting pounded.
Getting beat up. But whether it's motivation or whether it's just, hey, we're just getting out in front. Are we going to be able to keep this a secret? Like, there have been comments about different things during the course of the show. And I know you've been watching where there's like little moments where they'll talk about, will this get out? And you'll hear Shane or Dable or somebody say, well, Schefter or Rappaport are probably going to report this. Like the NFL Network's on in the office. The NFL Network is getting major play from this show because that's what they have on all the time.
Whatever Shane said about not listening to sports talk radio, he does not feel that way about the NFL Network. That is on.
So it's going to get out anyway. The world's going to know. The world knew before the show started that they were interested in trading up with New England. So you're saying that they should hide it, even though everybody, including Daniel Jones, knows about it. But just for appearances,
I guess you're right.
Optic-wise, that we're going to do this. So now you've agreed to do Hard Knocks, and I know the Giants aren't fans of Hard Knocks. And that's probably why they wanted editorial control. But you also want to make it work. You want to put your best foot forward. Like, do you want lies to be thrown out there? Like, so would you want to sit there and watch a show in which they wouldn't show you that they tried to trade up with New England? That they weren't interested in replacing Daniel Jones when everybody in the world knew they were? Then the show would be fugazi. Nobody would watch it.
I mean, is that your priority, though? If you're the Giants, making sure you have a good show for Max? Who cares? Give them the worst show in history, right? That would seem like the Giant way. We don't give a damn how good the TV show is. The TV show we care about is winning the games on Sunday.
But don't you think?
I think
from an ego. But wait a minute. But from an ego standpoint, I'm sure Joe Shane wants to send out a message that he's good at what he does. Well, and again, if that trickles down to Daniel Jones, then all right. Well, maybe that's extra motivation for him. I mean, if he feels embarrassed, he feels a way about it. I mean, should I have to worry about Daniel Jones's feelings? When I've got a guy that I got to make a decision on, and so far, whether you like Daniel Jones or not as a player, Peter made a great point. I think he has shown a toughness, both physically and mentally, to play in this town. I think he's limited as far as talent-wise is concerned, but I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. He's never said the wrong thing. He's always been a good teammate. People seem to want to play for him. I think he's a good guy.
I think so too.
But you're in New York. You're a quarterback auditioning for the next 2 years of your contract. Do I need as an organization to coddle you and worry about the message that's being sent out about you, or just hey, let's show the reality of what it is? The world knows we tried to trade up. Let's not hide that. It's all part of it. And then he can go out there and prove everybody wrong. This year he's got something. It's a dream when you think about it. He's got an opportunity to change the narrative. He's got a chance to go out there and prove everybody, including his own general manager, wrong. This isn't after the fact, Peter. He's got a chance. He's given a year to prove everybody wrong. That's a golden opportunity.
I hear you. And listen, this is a guy who also, after, some questionable play, ended up getting it what the time was a pretty good contract from this team for $40 million a year. And we do know already that he was aware of the team's interest in other quarterbacks. Otherwise, we would have never gotten the quote that we got from Daniel Jones. What was the line? Not great?
Right.
How he described how he felt about it? Wasn't psyched? Whatever it was.
Right, yeah, it was like a typical Daniel Jones answer.
But it showed he clearly wasn't happy. So you're right. At that point, what's the point? Now you're just hiding it to hide it because he obviously knows. So I guess you might as well include it in the show. Let's go to the phones, 1-800-919-3776. Talk about the G-Men for a while. We'll certainly get to the Jets as well. Don, I do think we should start diving in today. We've kind of been holding off a bit. I think today we can have some fun with the greatest athletes of the century, that ESPN list. Do a little bit there as well. And
we've got it through 26 now.
So that's a good amount.
So 26 through 100 we have. So I guess tomorrow, that's it, right, Anthony? They're doing 25 a day.
Yeah, done tomorrow. So I think
Michael's not a huge list guy. So
no, we might as well get into it today and tomorrow. And also, we'll go back to the Devontae Adams thing, which seems to continue to be a conversation. He was on with Shannon Sharp earlier.
Yeah, and his agent issued a release after.
So we'll get to all of this. Let's go to the G-Men, and let's start with Sean in Florida. Hey, Sean.
Hey, what's up, Don? What's up, Pete?
What's up?
Don, I got a couple things, but Don, I agree with you. Honestly, I think Joe Shannon and the Giants want the Daniel Jones stuff out. I think they want to put the pressure on him. You know what? Show me what you're made of, because this might be a last opportunity as a starter. So you know what? We're getting an O-line for you. We're going to protect. We drafted you a number one receiver, hopefully in Neighbors. Now show us if you're our quarterback or not in the future, because we have an out.
I mean, that's the big boy. I keep going back. I don't know how long you've been a fan, Dean, so I don't know how old you are, but you remember Dan Reeves, right?
Yes.
All right, Dan Reeves was not the Giants' first choice in 1993. Matter of fact, that they wanted Coughlin, but Coughlin decided not. I think he ended up going to BC at that time. And then they asked Dan Reeves, like, how do you feel about not being the first choice? Like, well, but I ended up being the choice. I'm the coach of the team. Like, you don't worry about it. He is going to be right now the starter. Forget about all they tried to do. He is going to be the starter of the New York Giants in 2024. He's been given a golden opportunity to prove everybody wrong. So why would you worry about your feelings being hurt? And now they went out and got those offensive linemen, and they went out and drafted Neighbors for Daniel Jones.
By the way, we're in the middle of the Hard Knocks recap on 98.7 ESPN New York.
Is that what this is?
Driven by Ramsey Mazda. Yeah, it's amazing.
How about that?
Isn't it? That's how good our staff is, Don. Every single word we say is sponsored. It's incredible. Let's go to Hector in Queens. Hey, Hector.
Hey guys, how you guys doing? Love the show. Listen, everywhere I look, the projections for the Giants aren't very good. A lot of people think the Giants are gonna be really bad. I'm not a fan, but I'm trying to look at it objectively. Isn't it better for the Giants? I know it endangers Dable's job, and isn't it better for the Giants to just flat out suck? Because I think the Giants are gonna be like a 7-win team. And I think that's just going to keep going the hamster wheel of mediocrity, and I don't think that's a good thing for the Giants. But I just want to know what you guys think.
Well, it depends on what that 7-win season looks like, all right? If it's because Daniel Jones is terrible, then I would agree with you. Then what do you do? Although you could tackle things via free agency, and there are trades that you can make to try to move up. So it's not a death sentence if they're a 7-win team. But let's say the offensive line gets hurt or whatever, but Daniel Jones plays well. And then you start to think, you know what, I might be able to piece some things together here to be a playoff team. I understand what you're saying is that if they were really looking for a quarterback, obviously having the 6th overall pick didn't help them.
I think they have one foot out the door, you know what I mean?
I don't know, but you know, I think the defense can be better.
Anyway, Don, thank you for the call, man. Thank you for taking my call.
I appreciate it, man. But at the end of the day, I kept thinking about this. I don't know if you thought the same thing. They went out and got 2 offensive linemen and an edge pass rusher via free agency and in the trade with Carolina at the expense of what? Saquon Barkley, Xavier McKinney, a running back and a safety, right? A running back on the offensive side, a safety, which is like a running back on the defensive side. Like, when you look at the positions, they added 3 need positions that are way more important than a safety and a running back. Nobody's going to put Singletary in the same category as Barkley, but if I get him for $4 million less.
That's a good point, Don. It's a damn good point by you. So, and they said it in the show. Xavier McKinney got $17 million a year. Did you hear the surprise in their face?
He's the second highest paid safety.
No, they basically said, we would never give him $17 million a year. So, and to your point, Don, and by the way, McKinney's a nice player. Green Bay will be happy with him.
I liked him a lot.
But that's a lot of money. And now you get a big time pass rusher, plus a guy, you draft a guy who's supposed to be the deal at wide receiver. So, you know what? You're a smart guy, Don. That is the Hard Knocks recap driven by Ramsey Mazda. It's the experience of driving a new Mazda and buying a new Mazda from Ramsey Mazda. Choose wisely. Choose Ramsey Mazda. We have 2 phone lines open. We'll dive into some Jet stuff as well. We'll get into that list of the top athletes of the 21st century. Oh, we got a lot to do. It's Peter and Don on the K Show. 98.7 ESPN.
Aaron Judge. Yeah. Sometimes you get the feeling you're watching a Hall of Famer right in the middle of his prime.
The captain is rolling.
They're going to need a longer tape measure.
A monster blast. See ya. Wow.
The finest premium arena club in the world comes alive in Brooklyn. Welcome to Crown Club, the Brooklyn Nets' most exclusive club in Barclays Center. Featuring a menu curated by Major Food Group with Carbone classics and a world-class wine list. To learn more about premium memberships at Barclays Center, visit brooklynnets.com/crown-club.
First of all, how do you know all this?
Streaming now on an all-new episode of The Story of My Number.
You were the 75th overall pick by the Boston Red Sox in 1985.
It was a great decision on our family part, I guess. Not mine.
Yeah.
There's 50,000 people there. Here comes Fidel Castro, jumps the fence and shakes all of our hands.
Gracie Cashman sits down with Yankees legend Tino Martinez on The Story of My Number, presented by the New York Lottery. Streaming now, exclusively on the Yes app.
Of sweet Kit Kat filling. One incredible break. Have a break. Have a Kit Kat. Now served up in birthday cake.
Soto keeps doing it. A monster blast by Aaron Judge.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. Innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions. Telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org.
For years, one company has battled to deliver business products the next day with no freight charges. Now, WB Mason, with their famous fleet of trucks and drivers, faces their biggest challenge, rescuing shipping and packaging buyers from expensive freight charges. That's right. Now, boxes, stretch film, and packaging tape are delivered the very next day at amazingly low prices. So, who do you call for fast delivery and no expensive freight charges? Who but WB Mason?
Hi, I'm Sally. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm a flight nurse on a helicopter that specializes in trauma. I've been doing flight nursing for 24 years. I had a fear that I wouldn't be able to keep up. I wanted all the boost I could get. I heard about Prevagen from a friend. I read the clinical study on it, and it had good reviews. I've been taking Prevagen now for 5 years, and it's really helped me stay sharp and present. It's really worked for me.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription.
Do you spend hours maintaining your gutters? Save that time with LeafGuard's maintenance-free system. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS. Mesh filters sit on top of your gutters, building up debris and eventually clogging. Then they need to be cleaned too. Honestly, your home should have been built with LeafGuard gutters. LeafGuard's wraparound hood deflects debris and keeps water away from your home. The one-piece seamless system is strong, 20% thicker than average, and built to last. Plus, LeafGuard is guaranteed to never clog for as long as you own your home. Right now, get a complete LeafGuard system for only $99 down, $99 a month, and $99 installation. You'll also receive a $100 Visa gift card with a free gutter inspection and in-home estimate. Damage from clogged gutters can cost you thousands. Never worry about clogged gutters again. Don't wait, you've still got time. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS today. That's 1-833-2-GUTTERS.
It's going to feel like home. It's going to be electric.
This is the Yankees flexing their muscles.
He has the right demeanor.
The expectation to win a championship.
This is the Yankees being the Yankees.
It's easy to stay safe online. Learn more at CISA.gov/secure our world.
Will be all right. And when I say that, listen, hear me out.
Nobody will die.
Wait, no, Don, hear me out. They're literally going to be all right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The Giants are going to be all right.
I don't know.
Maybe a little less than that, but they'll be close to all right.
But you never know, right? Like, where did we have the Houston Texans?
Not
on July 17th of 2023. Now, we knew Stroud was going to be, we thought there was a chance. He was drafted second overall, so why not think that he might be? Did we think immediately he would have them become a playoff team? Remember, we made fun. It's been a cottage industry. Don LaGreca and Peter Rosenberg, we get together, and even when Michael's here, to completely make fun of the AFC South as almost like a non-entity. When anybody plays each other there, like that's like Thursday night football.
Throw the record books out, yeah.
And then you look at that division. If Trevor Lawrence had stayed healthy, they're a playoff team. Houston ended up being great. Indianapolis was not an embarrassment whatsoever. I mean, Tennessee wasn't good. But because all of a sudden those teams are starting to gain some traction, and they're not bad.
And what happened with both Houston and Jacksonville?
Well, listen, it's stages. We weren't wrong
but you
at
get
the time.
But you get the quarterback.
I thought you were going to say that they still aren't winning in the playoff games.
No.
But
Houston, I mean, listen, Houston went in, they had to go to Baltimore in the playoffs. They won a playoff game. They go to Baltimore. That's a very respectable season. It's one of the things that actually frustrates me, and I get it. If you're making predictions, you have to make them, I guess. It's hard to make an assumption about a team's quarterback that you've never seen play in the NFL. But, Don, that's sort of what irritates me, and I'm giving you total homer talk. But whenever I see the Commanders listed at like 27th in the league, I'm go, yeah, but not if Jaden Daniels is good. If any quarterback you draft has the season that C.J. Stroud had, and your team's decent around that, you're going to compete. That's what's so frustrating about this whole thing. That's why the Giants thing has been so challenging, because it's been so hard to get a read on what they could be, because all these years with Jones, and we're just still not sure if he's the guy, which, as I've said many times, if you're not sure, you're sure.
Now, the Giants haven't addressed this that I've noticed in the 3 episodes, and Anthony's watched every minute the way I have, so he can jump me if he heard something different. The Giants have never told you why they're going after a quarterback. Like, I don't think anybody ever said, we don't think Daniel Jones is good. Now, maybe the contract they offered him showed you that they weren't completely on board, but is it possible that the Giants' only concern about Daniel Jones is his health?
No.
You don't think that's possible?
No.
Okay.
They don't believe. It's been too many times, Don. I off the top of my head, the amount of times that I can remember where they had an opportunity to make you feel like they liked him, and they were like, yeah, he's a guy. They never, even in the throes of the playoff run, they just never gave you the feel. Don, oh my God. Anthony, can you switch what's on the TV behind the light to one of the TVs with us? Don and I need to see this together as a family. This is a Giants-Redskins game from 1983.
I'm going to tell you what it is.
What is this, Don? Is it going to be bad for me or good?
First of all, I can tell you it's an awesome game, and it's behind the light.
Without fail. I'm seeing Joe Theismann. I'm seeing Darryl Green. I'm seeing Mark Mosley. What am I watching?
I'm wondering if that's just an arbitrary highlight, because now they're doing. Is this a game they're doing? Because I don't know what game it would be with Theismann like beating the Giants in a big spot. Because no offense, that didn't really ever happen.
I know. So no, you're right. Maybe it's just a Redskins special, and you guys ended up in it. Yeah, there it is, Don. Now you see it. Look to your left.
Yeah, I like Joe Theismann. I do.
We had a good hit with him a few weeks
ago. That was a fun. I got to tell you that it's another dangerous thing. There's a lot of things that are dangerous when Peter and I are doing a show without Mike.
Yeah, we hear about it too.
But there was a few years ago where like there was some game on the NFL Network, and all of a sudden it became part of the show. Anthony, you weren't here. Like all of a sudden we just got. Remember, it was some arbitrary game that I thought it was going to happen again. That you were going to. Now they're taking it off the TV.
They took it off all the TVs.
So right now the conspiracy theory is, let's not have that happen again. Where all of a sudden Peter and Don going off the reservation. You're like, yeah, there it is. Cowboys. It's just a documentary on the Redskins.
Sorry, I didn't mean. I thought it was us getting to share a moment together. I didn't realize it was a celebratory.
What would be
Redskins situation? Oh, look at RFK, dude. You see the crowd bouncing? You see the actual stadium moving up and down?
What would be a quintessential Giant Redskin game? And again, we're not being insensitive, but this is when it was Giants Redskins.
There's not a
nothing good for you.
No, Theismann's leg breaking.
That you won that game. That's what people. Listen, I was disgusted by what happened. Not because I wanted to see that it was disgusting to see his leg break that way. No, Jay Schrader came in and shredded the Giants in the second half. They lost the game. If Theismann stays in the game, the Giants might win.
Well, Schrader shows up like a bat out of hell.
Right.
Who knew?
Now, they got their revenge on him the next year when they, beat him pillar to post.
That's 86?
In 86, in RFK during the regular season, when the division was still very much on the line.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, they killed him in the championship game. The Redskins ruined what could have been one of the greatest championship games in NFL history.
Wait, why?
The Bears, they were 15-1 in 85. Do you know what their record was in 86? They were 14-2. The Giants were 14-2. I'm sure it's happened, but how many times off the top of your head did you see a championship game where both teams were 14-2?
That's special.
And then you would have the champions from the year before. The Redskins upset the Bears in the divisional round at Soldier Field, and then ended up going to the championship game.
And then who did we lose to?
The Giants.
And lost to the Giants in the championship.
So I'm saying if the
God, so I don't even realize that, because this kind of predates my real memory.
86,
I don't really remember. The next year is the Super Bowl year, though, and I remember it much better.
Well, 7 and 8. That's a
big difference.
A year when you only have 8 of them. 1 year is
a long time. But when you think about that run, 82, 83, in the championship game in 86, win it in 87. Then they won it again in 91. This is why I thought my life would be. Don, when I was a kid, the Redskins were like the 49ers. They're just there every year.
Why would you think that 91 was going to be it? No. What would be the indication?
No, there would be none. I should have known. If I'd been wiser when I heard the news Joe Gibbs was retiring, excuse me, I probably should have said, this isn't great. And then when the team got sold, but the thing is, you have to remember, Jack Kent Cooke was a terrible guy. Nobody liked Jack Kent Cooke.
No.
When he sold the team to Snyder, people thought, oh, good, Jack Kent Cooke gave up the team. We thought it would be maybe an improvement. Then the second they opened that dump of a stadium and you started learning the kind of owner Snyder was, and then he started going and chasing Bruce Smith and Deion Sanders and everyone else, but you didn't know it would last. Guys, all I'm saying is this. If you happen to root for one of these teams that's just perennially great, please appreciate it.
But 8-year-old Peter Rosenberg, and even like 18-year-old Don LaGreca, you're not worried about who your owner is.
No.
Now, I obviously, by 18, understood that you need, general manager and everything. But when you were 8 years old, you're not thinking about Jack Kent Cooke.
It went as high as Joe Gibbs. And I heard who Jack Kent Cooke was, but I didn't care.
Yeah, also owned the L.A. Kings.
On the L.A. Lakers.
In the Forum.
He owned everything.
He was, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was Canadian.
In fact, you wouldn't mind being Canadian.
But I would mind being Jack Kent Cooke. He was not a good guy.
Let's go to Darren in Newark. Hey, Darren in Newark.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing today?
Darren, we're good, man. How are you?
Okay. Hey, listen, I don't mean to be rude or anything.
Oh, please.
I told your guy that answered the phone, I don't want to be rude. But my question is about the Yankees radio booth.
Yes.
Please.
And I just wanted to ask you guys, if it just was something you were thinking about, how would you line up the 4 people that could be in that booth as the best to the least person you would want? Is that hard to do?
Well, it's hard to do because I know a couple of these guys.
Well, who
personally.
are the 4? Sorry, who are the 4? I don't know what he means by 4.
Well, the 4 that have done games.
Okay, this year
outside of Keith McPherson, who filled in. The 4 main.
I'm not counting.
It's been Brendan Burke, who does the Islander games on TV.
Right.
I'm writing this down. Hold on. Go
right. There is Emmanuel Barberi, who
Barberi, yep.
Justin Shackle, who does a phenomenal job, and Ricky Ricardo.
Right.
So those are the 4. Now, and three of the 4 I know. One of them I know personally, so I'm not going to sit there and rank. I'm not going to do it because it's unfair to them, and it just. I think I have my own personal favorites. But I don't feel comfortable making it. I think all 4 of them have done, and that's just not a cop-out. They've all done a great job.
Are you sure? Because our show does really well when we decide to give to analyze another booth. It always plays out great for us. So maybe
it's not about that. I would be honest, but if I didn't know these people, I mean, I don't want to do that because I just don't want to do that.
I respect you, Don.
But Darren, you're allowed.
Darren, you can say what you want to say. What do you think?
Okay, yeah, I would do it. For me personally, I know he's too busy, so he wouldn't do the job. I would rather have Ryan Rucco as the head guy.
Oh.
But I know he's too busy with the WNBA and all of that stuff, so that wouldn't work.
That's an interesting thought. Would Ryan have considered being the radio guy?
I don't think so. I think that ship sailed.
He's too far along.
I think he's too far along.
Yeah, he's too far along. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
My second choice would be Ricky Ricardo, without a doubt.
He is very good.
Okay.
I do enjoy it. And he's a good storyteller.
I love him.
I like Ricky.
Yeah. Well, and Ricky, what I like about the Ricky part, I don't have a major horse in this race. I just like that he's a guy who's been around and done a lot of work, because this is a super elite job to get. Let's just be clear. It's the Yankee job, for God's sake.
And he did Yankee Spanish radio, so he's been around.
And he's been around the team for a very long time. So go ahead.
Okay, and then Justin Shackle.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Justin.
And then Emmanuel. The reason why I called you and said this to you, because a lot of us have, we sit down sometimes when we can't watch it on TV and listen to it on the radio. And it's just, I'm so used to the banter between Susan and John. It's like the radio's just quiet for seconds or minutes at a time.
Well, yeah, that banter thing's going to take, but that banter thing, Darren, is regardless of who they go with, and we thank you for the call, that's going to take time, no matter who they go with. Like, Susan is going to have to re-gel with whoever that person is. And I've listened a couple times. I heard her with Justin, and I can't remember the other one that I heard, but I heard her on 2 different nights, and I can hear that she is now in a different position than she was in before. She's really got to be the one. I mean, she's always been the conversation sort of forwarder, but she really is in the lead position.
I mean, she has done talk shows, Susan. So I don't see it being an issue. I've heard all of the people that have worked with Susan, and it's been seamless.
Now, this
great banter, because she's a great storyteller. I think all those guys, because I think part of being a play-by-play announcer on the radio is to be a storyteller and also have an encyclopedia knowledge of the team that you're doing. So, and I think all 4 of the candidates have that.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be. It's obviously a tremendous job. And Ricky was older than I realized until we had the conversation. I didn't realize how long Ricky Ricardo had been around.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I've been around, so he's probably younger than me. I don't know how old he is.
Now, a lot of people don't know this. This is just in, and this is just something they're trying. This isn't necessarily anything permanent. But I did find out for the Brewers series coming up later this season, they're actually trying out former internet sensation Bad Baby.
Catch me outside. How about that?
She's going to have just 3 games, Don.
Just 3.
Listen, they want to try out different things. And I really think, if you think about Susan gelling, just picture Susan Waldman and...
Catch me outside. How about that?
I really think they could find something in the booth. Let's take one more call here before we break. Let's go to Steve in Pearl River. What up, Steve?
Hey, guys, all that stuff that you were saying about Daniel Jones is true. And I love that quote when they asked him about how he felt about it. He said, not great. Now ask him the question, how do you feel about the nearly $100 million you've made off your rookie contract and this contract extension? And I'll bet he'll channel Tony the Tiger. Great. Okay? And you're right. This is the NFL. It is a business. And I think that Joe Shane has acquitted himself, in terms of likability? I mean,
I agree. I do. I think, listen, I don't know. I haven't taken a poll from Giant fans or football fans. I think he has come across a winner. Dable, too. Both have shown sense of humor. Both have shown that they're in charge. And that's why at the opening of the show, Steve, I had mentioned I would have loved to see how the dynamic was when Gettleman was there. And I bet you it probably wasn't the same. They probably felt more subservient to the demands of John Mara. I think Shane came in here, no affiliation to the Giants. They finally went outside the organization to hire both the coach and the general manager, and I think that shows. Because when you hire somebody who came within the organization, Peter, you're going to look at John Mara as a saint, a guy that you've known for a long time. He helped you climb the ladder within the company. And you probably feel like I got to bend over backwards to please this guy. Joe Shane only cares about one thing, and that's building a team that can win. And if it means stepping on some toes, including the owner, now he's got to be careful, as Peter said earlier, because that guy controls his job. But Joe Shane's probably thinking, listen, if I win this team a Super Bowl, I ain't going anywhere.
1-800-919-3776. Let's get into some of the Jets next. 4 o'clock hour, we will deal a little bit more with that top 100 list in the all-time athletes, after 2000. So, meaning you could have had a career that started in the 80s or 90s, but it's about how you perform post-2000, the greatest athletes of the 21st century. We also got to talk about some new rankings for your New York Knicks as well. It's Peter and Don on the K Show on ESPN New York, and yes.
Let's explore your future with Udemy. You can learn how to program and build websites, study design and create logos, improve your presentation skills, and sell your ideas. With Udemy, you can learn practical skills from thousands of online courses taught by real-world experts. Explore your future. Udemy.
With ButcherBox, you never have to worry about what's for dinner. We deliver grass-fed beef, organic free-range chicken, humanely raised pork, wild-caught seafood, and so much more. Get high-quality meat sourced from trusted partners with free shipping always, so you can always be prepared and enjoy the important things. Sign up for ButcherBox today.
Switch to Square and join over 4 million businesses worldwide. More than a point of sale, Square keeps you ready for any restaurant rush. And with Square, there are no hidden fees ever. At Square, get 24/7 support to help keep lines moving. And with Square Banking, get a loan quickly for everything from small repairs to the biggest dreams. Gain time and peace of mind with restaurant tools that bring everything together. Switch to Square today. Visit square.com to get started.
Hard water makes it hard to keep your home looking like the work of art you've always envisioned it would be. Culligan softeners reduce hard water buildup and your cleaning time, transforming every drop, every splash, every rinse into the fine art of a long-lasting clean. With a Culligan water softener, revel in the breathtaking beauty of your home, just the way you've always pictured it. Culligan, water you love.
Want to get juicy? Sip on this super fresh and tasty blend of ripe strawberry and crisp lemon that's so bold. It just asks for your number. That's right. It's time to love soda again.
There's an easier way. From painting and cleaning to repairs and more. Taking care of your home is easy with Thumbtack. Download the Thumbtack app and start caring for your home today.
You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? Don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The roof was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way?
Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really? Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of a gas tank. Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
Listen, I might not be a relationship expert, but I do have some hacks. They say, Lauren, what's the secret to a long, sustained relationship? It's Blue Chew. Blue Chews. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew, baby! Blue Chew is an online subscription-based service that sends these affordable tablets directly to your home. No one even has to know. Except for me. But I'm not going to tell you.
Do you suffer from knee pain? Ever been diagnosed with osteoarthritis? Or worried about the risks involved with knee surgery?
It hurt all the time, like the nerves were rubbing against each other.
I was at the point of either replace my knees because I'm tired of this pain.
Get the relief you need without surgery. We're Arthritis Knee Pain Centers, the premier leaders in non-surgical knee pain treatments. Instead of surgically replacing your knees, our state-of-the-art procedures replenish the depleted natural cushioning in your joints with an FDA-approved shock-absorbing gel, without surgery and without downtime.
After the first injection, I knew it was going to work.
We've successfully treated thousands of patients. Medicare and most private insurance cover this procedure.
Full motion, no pain, walking, everything just back normal like it used to be.
Locations in Garden City, Smithtown, and Wall, New Jersey. Call 1-800-834-5911 for a no-charge, no-obligation knee pain assessment, or go to arthritis-kneepain.com.
I was diagnosed at 65.
37. Earlier than most.
Every 9 minutes, someone is diagnosed with Parkinson's disease.
And every one of them can turn to the American Parkinson Disease Association. Visit apdaparkinson.org to learn more and show your support today.
Speaking of classic hip hop, well, by the way, it's Peter and Don. It's the K Show, 98.7 ESPN New York. Hi, how's everyone doing? Good. I'm going to see Diamond D tonight, the great Diamond D. He's one of my all-time favorites, and he is performing what I believe to be a seminal album, though I'm sure most people listening don't know what I'm talking about or its greatness. Don, within music, you have like certain artists and albums that an awareness of that artist at the time and the music is sort of an indicator that like the person you're talking to is serious about music.
Yes.
That's Diamond D. Like if you're like, oh, I love 90s rap, right? Oh, really? You do? Cool. What kind of stuff you like? They could say, oh, I like Wu-Tang, and I like Naughty by Nature, and I like Biggie, and all of those are great answers. But it's not an indicator of how much of a fan you are. There's levels that you can go.
Well, I'm that guy.
You'd be that guy.
I mean, it would be Wu-Tang, Ice Cube, Ice-T.
Yeah, well, you're even different because your Ice-T thing's like 80s almost too. You know what I mean? So,
well, OG Original Gangster was
90 maybe.
Okay,
it's old.
I'm an old man.
But either way, like people would say, oh, I like 90s rap. But if you get to the point where you're talking about Diamond D and Showbiz and AG and Big L and Lord Finesse, now we're having like a conversation. So Diamond D is performing his album. It was the 30th anniversary 2 years ago of Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop. It got delayed the 30th anniversary. It's the night at Sony Hall. I'm sure there's at least 2 people driving around right now who are going, oh my God, Diamond D's performing that album tonight at Sony Hall? Yes, that's happening. So I'm going to go through and check that out.
And other people like me, I thought you were talking about David Lee Roth.
Diamond D?
Well, Diamond Dave.
People call him Diamond Dave?
Yeah.
What's David Lee? Was his real name just David Roth?
I don't know. I should know that, and I don't. I feel ashamed.
By the way, was he an assassin? I mean, why did he have the 3? What was going on?
I don't know. Why do we do that?
By the way, that bothered me. That really, it was such an indicator that it literally is just a made-up thing by the press.
It has to be.
This one this weekend, the second the name came out, they started saying his middle, and I'm like, that's just his middle name. No one says people's middle names.
The only time I think they didn't do it that I can think of, well, two times. Sirhan.
Okay.
Although that name itself, I guess you don't need a third one.
Well, it would just be Sirhan.
Unless there isn't.
Wait, so what did Sirhan do?
Was Bobby Kennedy in L.A.
Oh, that's Sirhan?
And
Bobby Kennedy, correct.
And then
in the hotel. David Hinckley, no three names.
I guess maybe unless he just didn't have a middle name.
It's Bartholomew. David
like my
Bartholomew
dad didn't have a middle name.
Really? A lot of people don't.
Right, so if you don't have a middle name, they can't do anything. But if I were to do that, would I be Donald Marco LaGreca?
You definitely would. But like, it's weird. Like, you're talking about. So what's his name? Matthew what Crooks?
I don't.
I'm glad I've eliminated the middle name part from my brain. But you don't call him Donald John Trump. Why do we always give the would-be assassin the three-name treatment?
Now, did John Wilkes Booth go by three names? Or did this was something that was developed
someone check Booth's Instagram page. Right. Does he have full John or just John Booth?
You might have to think. I think it's you probably see. You got to be a little bit more realistic. He doesn't have an Instagram.
It was Friendster.
No, it was probably MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace guy. MySpace.com. Oh, I just found it. It's MySpace.com/John Booth. He did not.
We shouldn't laugh. He murdered a president, but I guess some time does pass.
It's been a while. We're at least allowed to have a conversation. We always say, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the show?
Well, Michael says that.
It's a big Michael line. One of the all-time. It's one of the better ones he has, though. All right, let's go back. No, let's not go to the phones. I want to stop for a second. Be quiet.
Stop. Pump the brakes.
Let's take a second, then we'll get to the calls. Let's hear from Devontae Adams on Club Shay Shay. Asked about the rumors of him reuniting with A-Raj.
So what about these internet about you reuniting with Aaron? Is that something you would be open to, amenable to, if this had happened this offseason? If the Jets offered a package big enough to satisfy the Raiders' need and you be reunited with Aaron, would that have been something you'd have been open to?
Well, I'll answer it like this. If I'm going to be reunited with anybody, it would be Aaron.
Okay.
But, or be, relocated and be anywhere, it would be with Aaron.
Okay. By the way, hold on. Let me hear what Shay said there at the beginning.
So what about these internet about you reuniting with Aaron?
I might need a drop of what about these internet about, because that's not a sentence. That is... that's a fine answer. But fine with that.
Are you? If you're the Raiders, would you be fine with that answer? Instead of just, hey, I'm a Raider, that's all I'm focused on.
Okay. Sorry, that's choice one.
Okay.
I'm a Raider, that's all I'm focused on. Choice two would be, hey, if it was anyone, it would be Aaron. And choice three would be, oh, I can't wait. that would be the worst case.
But the thing is that why does he think he has a choice? Like, if I was to be reunited with anybody...
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think he's kind of acknowledging he doesn't have the choice. It's just like, if he would, that's who he would.
But I just think the only answer is, I'm a Raider. And then that's pretty much all he's ever said up until the Shannon interview. So I don't want to beat him up too much, and his agents jumped and said that there's nothing to it, because it's not going to happen now. Can't happen now. It's a $40 million cap hit. It'd be foolish for the Jets to be able to absorb that kind of money as well this early. Anybody that's talking about this possibly happening is assuming the Raiders get off to a miserable start. They're 0-5. They're looking for a first-round pick. Jets are short a weapon, and they give up a first-round pick, and they still have to absorb some of what then would be a $25 million dead cap hit, because you'd be in the season. That's still pretty hefty. To me, I mentioned it yesterday, this has Kirk Cousins vibes. After Rodgers went down, everybody's like, oh, they'll just trade for Kirk Cousins. The Vikings are going to fall out of it before the deadline, and they'll just trade Kirk Cousins to the Jets. Well, that never happened. Now, do I think the Raiders are going to be good? No, I don't. But like I said with Houston last year, who had Houston being a playoff team last year? You never know. But this seems more wishful thinking. But it behooves the modern-day athlete, right, to keep those kind of things alive.
Keep the convo going. It's good for the talk.
But
so what about these internet?
But if I'm Antonio Pierce, am I happy right now that he said that? Honestly.
No. But and the thing is, you can't really say much, because although Antonio Pierce doesn't seem to suffer fools, so he probably would say something. But, Devontae is the best player on your team. All right, let's get to this list next and your phone calls. We got every line is jammed, so we'll talk to you guys. But we'll also get to this list of the top 100 athletes of the 21st century. It's Peter and Don on 98.7 ESPN New York and the Yes Network.
With ButcherBox, you never have to worry about what's for dinner. We deliver. grass-fed beef, organic free-range chicken, humanely raised pork, wild-caught seafood, and so much more. Get high-quality meat sourced from trusted partners with free shipping always, so you can always be prepared and enjoy the important things. Sign up for ButcherBox today.
Listen, we get that ordering a suit online can seem a little risky. That's why we have a home try-on program. Go to thebblacktux.com/try. With so many good options, it might be hard to choose. We'll ship your selection to you to try out for 48 hours on us. When it arrives, put it on and make sure every detail's perfect. Once your 2 days are up, pack it back in the box, attach the free shipping label, and send it back to us. And when you're ready to rent for real, just head back to the Black Tux and make your order official.
The wait is over.
Now arriving, soft side suitcases from Away.
We just shipped our millionth monthly coffee subscription box. We're sending custom thank you gifts to everyone on our team who helped us get there. I had to call Eric at Custom Ink. Custom Ink has been with us from the beginning, and he makes sure that we get everything we need and even your milestones with custom gear. Get started today at customink.com.
Dude, thought you stopped ordering delivery.
I did. Well, sort of. I order Home Chef now.
How's that different?
There are no hidden fees. I pick the recipes I want and they deliver them.
Do you have to tip them?
Nope. I'm actually saving money for a change. You can get 18 free meals plus free shipping when you sign up for Home Chef today.
Switch to Square and join over 4 million businesses worldwide. Switch to fast setup and even faster checkouts. Switch to making every sale the way you want and the way they want, too. Switch to one system connecting every tool to every task, even as your business grows. Gain time and peace of mind with tools that bring everything together. Switch to Square today. Visit square.com to get started.
More about kidney disease, transplantation, and prevention. Get the facts, get checked, and get healthy.
John's reaction just now?
No, I was trying to get the hour started.
So what about these internet?
I just said to him, I said, "Did you hear me and Dave?" And he was like, "Yeah."
Oh no, really?
Yeah. That's how I
is he still there?
Is he in the room?
John, why don't you pop on the mic for a second?
Yeah, pop on.
And because we don't need this in the ether, okay? Because you are the boss.
I didn't like this.
And now it's out there that you were very 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 vanilla.
It was his gut react. Your gut reaction, John, didn't seem strong.
So can you confirm or deny that you just weren't maybe a big fan of the MASH show?
No, his mic's not working. There you go. There you go.
It's not that I wasn't a big fan of the mashup show. I thought it was good. I was happy with it. I was happy with the results. We did a nice CNN. We did a stump which you helped with a little bit.
Yeah,
it was good.
What's going on?
Wait a minute. Let's analyze this in real time, okay?
What's happening?
All right, just in the tone of his voice, he just wasn't a big fan, and he has no use for you because the first compliment was the ENN that Anthony did.
Right, I didn't even do the
ENN. And then he jumps right to Stump Rothenberg, which you contributed.
Griffin, I think, was on twice. Was Griffin on twice?
Now he's got the callers.
It was once. All right.
So he's not a fan.
So what was so bad about the show?
You
No, there was nothing bad about the show. It was entertaining, and we did our job of driving people to 1050. And
did people listen? You checked the numbers?
I did check the numbers.
And people listened?
They did. I was a little more, I gave Rothenberg, so I had my morning show call or meeting with the guys in the morning this morning, and Rick was very interested how Rick and Michael's show compared to you and Dave.
Oh, how'd they do? Better?
You did about half the number.
Half the number?
Half the number, which actually is still a good number. I'm not going to lie. And I tried to tell Dave, but Dave took a very... And
He's
Rick
Michael
was just
Kay.
gloating. But you got to remember, here's the thing, and this is where I'm on your and Dave's side.
Thank you. I didn't know we had sides, but I appreciate you being with us.
They were the first,
I expected it to be lower.
They were the first ones out of the gate, so there was interest there, right? And so there was just... and plus, Michael and Rick, it's like, oh, how are they going to work together?
Well, yeah, they have more of a built-up thing, sure.
And then let's not, you guys were recapping the home run derby. I mean,
oh yeah, sorry. What day?
No, they were coming out. It was a Monday. It was last Monday. Coming off the weekend.
Yankee Panic.
Yankee
They
Panic.
had a lot going on.
We the biggest story Dave and I had was the national anthem.
Yeah.
It was that's a rough day. I think we may need a second crack at it. Was Dave hurt by this?
His ego was hurt a little bit, yes. And Rick was like, you're half the man I am, apparently. Kind of thing.
Wow. Yeah, and he played the victim. I wanted to clear this up because he doesn't need a lukewarm response.
I thought it was a fun show.
You and Dave hosted this show, what was it, before your wedding last summer, and you guys did a great job.
I think we're really...
Everyone loves the Bergs.
I think everyone loves the Bergs. I thought we had a great time. It was a really fun show. I mean, that number, literally half the number? Stream-wise?
Maybe like 55% of the number.
But that makes sense. Again, you didn't have a lot going on.
Yeah.
It was a Monday after Yankee Panic.
See, this is a friend. You hear what Don's doing, John? This is how a friend describes
this is the way I would say.
This is how you frame it.
But I have to play it down the middle.
Right, yeah, of course you do.
Yeah, but nobody wants to hear, And
then
he just, and basically, honestly, just my assessment of what John just did was just a more verbal, I think he was okay with it.
Well, this Tuesday, to promote it, we have Don and Dave on Tuesday the 23rd.
That's going to be interesting. I'm very excited. Tuesday the 23rd, LaGreca and Rothenberg.
Yeah, so we'll have more going on. Baseball season's back in full swing. We'll be
we really did. You know what? I'm glad though. Now I get to have this asterisk.
But I got to tell you, I'm not. I don't want to do half of Rick and Dave. Rick and Michael. I'm not standing for that.
So you'll be disgusted if you don't do better than that. Now, do we know how good a job Dave did promoting that morning? Because that's the key.
Oh, see that? Because Michael did a tremendous job promoting.
Michael did a lot of promo.
On the end of their show too, leading in, telling people.
Michael hopped on the end of the show.
9:45 segment. He was on their show promoting. Hey, tune over to 1050.
Oh, see now, you know what?
A lot of mistakes.
Why was Peter not given this opportunity?
Ah, boy.
Probably because I wasn't here yesterday.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
if this guy wasn't on,
so
Snow Mountain.
You know what? I am going to look at the fact.
You were connected too.
I'm going to look at the fact that you're recapping basically a bad anthem.
Yeah.
And the lack of promotion.
Yeah.
I think you guys are even. I think if you had a better day and more promotion, it would have been even.
I definitely think the sports content topics didn't work to your benefit. It wasn't. I hear though the Bart shows are going to be the ones that just like set ratings records.
I can't wait. When is that one? I'm doing that in 2 weeks or something.
You and Don both
have Bart vehicles.
Yeah. Mine's August 20th.
All right.
So this Tuesday coming up, it's Dave and I.
I want to say yours is July 30th. I think yours is in 2 weeks. Peter.
Okay.
So you'll be the first with Bart.
That's right. I'll be different. I'll be a 45-year-old man then. 45. All right, thank you, John. I appreciate it.
We appreciate that.
Thanks for clearing things up.
I'm not sure he did.
So what about these internet?
Yeah. What about these internet? You ever think about that?
It's like my mom with, it's on the line.
Is that what she says about online?
Yeah.
Does she really say that? Give me context.
Oh, and they put the pictures on the line.
No, she doesn't say that.
All right.
Is that really true?
Yeah.
I've never heard
She doesn't know the vernacular of Facebook or Twitter or social media.
But I've never heard anyone say on the line.
You know who said on the line? Do you remember the movie, it was a Vince Vaughn vehicle?
Go ahead.
Was it called The Internship, where they interned at Google?
Yeah.
Him and Owen Wilson? He said on the line. But that's not where my mom got it.
Right, she wasn't being funny.
Because my mom hears the line, she thinks a clothesline.
Right.
And you put clothes on the line. So why wouldn't you put pictures on the line?
But at that time, she was not like, paying homage to the movie.
No. And I've told you, as far as my mom is concerned, there is no internet at the house. She doesn't have internet access. No dial-up, nothing.
All right, let's. We're going to pull up this list, Don, have a bit of a conversation, if you will, because I'm fascinated I don't know why I'm such a nerd. You know, Don and I enjoy a quality list. So we'll pull that up. But as I do, let's take a phone call real quick. He's been waiting patiently. Let's go to Richard Manhattan.
Hi, Don, Peter.
Hey.
You know, Peter, I agree with you. Ricky Ricardo, he's in his 60s, fellas.
Oh, is he
He's
really?
an older guy. Yeah. And him and Susan sound great.
They do.
Together. And I love when Ricky pronounces the Spanish guys, in Spanish, the way he says it. He's really rolls the R's. I think it's great. I love it. And he's got a lot of remembrances of the old Yankees, so he's great. It's funny about Susan. Susan's from Boston, and she always talks about how she was at the Bucky Dent game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember that game because it was the first time in all my years of schooling in New York that I was off for a Jewish holiday. October 2nd, 1978. It was Rosh Hashanah. It was on a Monday, and I remember that game very well. And she always talks how she was at the game, and ironically, she takes off for Jewish holidays now, so I just remembered that. One last thing, fellas, as far as baseball goes.
Sure.
Right now, you got 25 out of the 30 teams, 25 out of 30, that can still get in the playoffs. All they have to go is 6-4, 6-4, 6-4, and they'll get in. So almost half the team. This is an oxymoron, buyers and sellers. They've got to move the trade deadline to mid-August because you'd be crazy to sell now. Who would sell now? It's stupid. You can't sabotage the fans. So the idea is okay, but you got to move it back. And I think it's great. 25 teams, even teams on the outside like Texas and Toronto. All they have to do is 6-4, 6-4. That's all it takes, and you're back in the race. So I think it's great. And as far as the trade deadline, like I said, it's too early.
Yeah, they're going to have to. Since they added the third wild card, and when you take a look at these teams that are around 500, they at least August 15th, something like that. Give a couple of extra weeks to find out where everybody is.
And Don, you guys poo-poo, you don't want to be in the first round, a playoff game, one game in there. I'll tell you what, I don't have any proof. I wish you guys would do analysis of this. If the teams are better off with rests, if teams are better off with home field, I don't think any of that matters. I think that only matters is who's hot, who's pitching great, who doesn't have injuries, and just keep rolling. Baseball is different than the other sports, fellas.
But honestly, Richard, if you take a look at football, and again, I don't have it in front of me, and thank you so much for the phone call, that sometimes the bye is a curse in the NFL too, where you get a team that plays the wild card weekend, they've got some momentum, all of a sudden an arbitrary day off, a week off kind of hurts the team with the bye. And at least right now, statistically, it seems like the teams that have a bye in baseball have been at a disadvantage. You would think that they'd have an advantage because they'd be able to set their rotation, Peter, but to have that many days off that late in the season might not be that good of an idea either for their longest break is during the All-Star break, and then you're in the momentum of things, and then all of a sudden you don't play for 4 or 5 days, even though you get to set your rotation. At least the early numbers of the bringing the third wild card in and the quote-unquote bye for teams has not been an advantage, but we'll see. It's a very small sample size.
Don, we're going to get back to these phone calls. Don't everyone worry. But I do want to start hitting this list a little bit, as we promised. ESPN is ranking the top 100 athletes of the 21st century. So that means you could have an athlete whose career started in the 20th century, but it's about how they then performed in the 21st century.
The guy that jumps to mind is Derek Jeter. Was he affected where he was on the list because the first 5 years of his career didn't count?
Right, exactly. It's about how he did after that.
Right.
So how do you want to go through this list? Do you want me to just literally throw names at you? Do you want to go and I can?
Well, why don't you tell us where some of the locals are? I think that's where people care about the most, right?
All right, I'm just going through and looking. The first one I see, starting at 100 and working my way up, is Aaron Rodgers at 91, which on the surface to me feels very low.
I needed to see in relation to other quarterbacks. There was obviously no other quarterbacks 100 to 92, right?
No.
Yeah, so Correct. He's the first quarterback on the list. How many quarterbacks? So it does seem low.
Manning's ahead of him. We know Brady will be ahead of him.
Yeah, Brady's probably going to be 1 or 2. Manning's 26. I don't have a problem with that.
91. I don't know. He's so good, though.
But again, how many quarterbacks between 91 Aaron Rodgers and 26 Peyton Manning? That's it. So if you're making a list of greatest quarterbacks, according to this list, it's Aaron Rodgers, and then it's Peyton Manning.
All right. Oh, sorry. I'm being told I already messed up. Hold on.
What's going on?
How did I do that? Hold
It'll
on.
be all right. You'll get there.
Oh, sorry, I did. He's right. It was just where my mouse went. 96, before we got to Aaron Rodgers, is Darrelle Revis.
No, but I said quarterbacks, not football players.
No, I know, but we
went local.
You said name
Oh,
the locals.
local, yeah.
So
I guess. I mean, how many? I would think Deion Sanders is probably somewhere on that list. I think Charles Woodson's on the list. Where's Charles? Is Charles Woodson 100, right?
He's right there.
So he's ahead of Woodson,
and he's ahead of Ed Reed.
Ed Reed's 99. That's pretty nice.
I'm comfortable with that.
Are we going defensive players or like corners, safety? Because there's other football players ahead of Revis.
Yeah, but I'm saying.
Oh no, yeah, of course.
But the secondary, that might be the highest.
He is at the moment the highest.
So unless there's somebody in the top 25, and the only one I would think would be Deion Sanders, but you'd be throwing Deion Sanders there because he played baseball.
That's interesting. No Champ Bailey?
Yeah, listen, Darrelle Revis is better than Champ Bailey,
I guess.
So if you got Revis in the 90s, then
I guess you're right.
But if Deion is ahead, it's going to be because of his baseball too.
But Deion by 2000. I mean, Deion's baseball days were in the early 90s.
Oh, you know what? That's right.
He's not going to make it.
That's right. You're right. He's not going to make it. I'm sorry.
He's done by 2000.
I had forgotten about the 2000 thing. So who would be in the secondary that you would have? Peterson?
No.
That's
why Champ was the only one that came to my mind. And you're right. Revis
he could still be there. We have another 25.
He could, but I don't think he's going to be in the top 25.
That would be If Champ was going to be there and be ahead of Revis, it would be by a few slots, if that. All right. So as we continue on, the next local that we see is number 59.
Oh, okay.
Mariano Rivera. He won 2 World Series after 2000.
See, now he gets burned by it too. Now, he was amazing from 2000 until, 2014 when he retired, 2013. But the 98 championship, the 99 championship doesn't count there. But God, Rivera.
You think he'd be even higher?
Because I would think Rivera would be higher than Jeter.
Well, he's not.
He's not.
Apparently.
And Jeter is where? Is Jeter next?
We're flipping. Yes, Derek Jeter's at 53.
So 53. I have a problem with Jeter being ahead of Rivera.
Post 2000.
Because they're both in the same boat. They both lost the same amount of championships because of that, right? But Rivera, and you're talking about a dominant closer for a decade plus. When does that ever happen? So is it just so? If you're going to tell me because it's post 2000 that Rivera's that low, okay, I understand it. But they both came up at around the same time, so they both lost the same amount because of the 90s not being included. I think Rivera's got to be ahead of Jeter. I mean, it's negligible because they're only one's 59, one's 53, so they're kind of close, but. So Adrian Beltre's, see, that's stupid.
That Beltre's at 52 ahead of Jeter?
Now, when did he start his career? He didn't lose anything because he didn't play in the 90s. He played forever. But when was his first year? Do you have it there?
I don't have a stat for...
But I think Anthony will be able to punch it up. 98, yeah, come on. I'm sorry. I'm not having him ahead of both of them. No, that's silly.
All right, next... No, Max Scherzer at 46. I'm not counting as local. Sorry,
no.
His career was not here. But Alex Rodriguez will count as local. He's at number 43.
Yeah, no problem with it. We've told you that people are not going to be considering the PEDs, and even with the PED stuff, he's still an amazing athlete. So him in the top 50, I have zero problem with
Ortiz, 45 ahead of Jeter and Rivera.
See, that's just that doesn't make any sense to me. Come on, people, really. No, but it's not likability. There's no way. Wait a minute now. Because I didn't know. I kind of perused it, but I wanted to have the spontaneity of us doing this on the air. You tell me. I need a diehard Red Sox fan that's got a tattoo on his calf that was there at Fenway Park the night Ted Williams was there at the All-Star game in 1999 and wept with everybody else. A guy that watched every game of Carl Yastrzemski's 67 MVP season. I need that guy to call me and explain to me, as if I were an infant, that David Ortiz was better than Derek Jeter and Mo Rivera. I need that, because there isn't anybody, unless you're David Ortiz himself, which I don't think he would do, would say that he was better than Derek Jeter. Derek Jeter was one vote away from going into the Hall of Fame at 100%.
What?